Welcome back on to tonight's business news. The National Treasury is on the spot for misusing proceeds from a sovereign bond to pay back loans and salaries. The revelation was made by the Controller of Budget at a meeting with senators. Treasury is accused of misallocating 65.1 billion shillings from a 70 billion shilling sovereign bond that was intended to be used for infrastructure projects in the water, housing and ICT sectors. Here's Faisal Ahmed with more on this.
The decision by the National Treasury, analysts say, was not only a contravention of the law, but also could lead to prospective investors shying away from Kenya's bond offers. According to the Controller of Budget, Margaret Nyakango, the Treasury reallocated 65.1 billion shillings from a 70 billion shilling Eurobond acquired on the 30th of June. Nyakango says that the funds were used in funding counties and repaying outstanding debts, contrary to Article 201C, Section 15(2)C of the PFM Act 2012.
This actually contravenes Article 201C and 15(2)C of the PFM Act, which clearly tells us that over the medium term, national government borrowings shall be used only for the purpose of financing development expenditure and not for recurrent expenditure. This money was used for recurrent expenditure, and part of it was used to give the counties the equitable share.
Further, the controller revealed that Kenya had paid 1.7 billion shillings in commitment fees for loans secured by the government, which are yet to be disbursed, which the COB had termed as alarming.
And commitment fees are the fees that we pay for having credit set aside for us, even though we are not using it. Generally, these are lines of credit that are not used, and it is a way of guaranteeing that the bank will keep the funds aside for us. But when we analyzed the level of commitment fees that the country has been paying, it is a little alarming.
Giving a breakdown of how the government has been borrowing over the years, concessional loans were 80% of the debt in 2014, but fast forward to 2018, commercial loans dominate with more than 40% of all government borrowing.
The rising debt mirrors the fiscal deficit. In essence, the deficit that we incur every year simply becomes an accumulation of debt. So the two mirror each other. So talking about in the exclusion of the budget deficit would be a fallacy. So in our view, the fact that we have been running deficits in excess of 6% over the last 7 years reflects where we are today in terms of the debt situation. And in essence, because Parliament plays a critical role in the approval of the budget, that is where vigilance begins.
CRA further took issue with the amount of money being used in debt servicing, which was at 36.6% of last year's financial budget. Recurrent expenditure was more than 1.16 trillion shillings, with development taking up only 12% of the budget at 389.2 billion shillings. Public debt takes up the biggest chunk of the budget at 1.169 trillion shillings, or 36.6% of the entire budget. The rest goes towards pensions and county governments. Faisal Ahmed, Citizen TV, Nairobi.